So let's jump on the roller coaster named Riverdale for the 5th time. I can't believe it myself, but it's the case. Now, I'm writing this before watching the first episode, but I thought about a way to talk about the show that I have a love and hate relationship. I'm going to talk about every season, about one episode, and get you up to speed to the plot every season. Once we jump through all the seasons, I'm going to explain what I think about the show. So, well, let's jump into season 1. Before going into season 1, I do have to say this. This video will contain a lot of spoilers. If you're not wanting to watch this video because you haven't watched it yet, I totally get it. Or maybe you want to watch this, don't want to watch the show, you could also watch this video just to, get up to speed. Before going into season 1, I do real fast want to explain a couple of characters. The Coopers. Alice and Hall are the parents of Betty. I guess they are the perfect people or something. Betty hates her parents. Also, the parents write for a living. Betty wants to follow them in the footsteps with that. Betty also has a sister, but we're gonna keep that on the low for now. It will come up later. The Lodgers. Just Hermione and Veronica at the beginning. But later on, Daddy or Hiram joins in. Rich people moving out of the city to a small town because mom and dad used to live there when they were young. Veronica acts like a spoiled brat in the beginning, and that's all you have to hear to understand the character, I think. Fred Andrews, who is the father of Archie Andrews. Fred owns a company. Archie is thinking about his future, football, business, or singing. It gets crazier than that. Just wait. Also, Archie's mother is Mary Andrews, who is the soon-to-be divorced husband of Fred Andrews. She lives in Chicago for now. Jones. Forsyth Pendleton Jones, second and the third, or FB as the dad and Jughead as his son. Now Jughead is homeless because he doesn't want to live with his father because he is a gang leader and an alcoholic. This happened because Gladys Jones, or the mom of Jughead, with Jellybean, or the little sister of Jughead, left to Toledo. FB lives in a caravan where the family used to live together. Blossoms. People who became rich from maple syrup. Penelope and Clifford Blossom, well, not for long, with the son and daughter being Jason and Cheryl. Cheryl is not part of the core four, but very important. She is evil. Makes sense why they didn't want her in the core four. Keller, the sheriff's family. Kevin is the son of Tom Keller. The sheriff is kind of important for the first 3 seasons. Kevin is the best friend of Betty. Not really something else I have to say about them. Also, I feel like saying you're gonna see one diner a lot. It's Pop State. It's owned by Pop State for now, but it changes a couple of times in the show. Yeah, you'll see.
Our story is about a town, a small town, and the people who live in the town. From a distance, it presents itself.
That intro is peaceful. Something about the start when the music starts playing, it makes me nostalgic. As season 1 starts off with a totally normal world, it makes me nostalgic for the characters of the show. I really feel for them, how their life got turned upside down.
If he is dead, Hal, I hope in those last moments he suffered. May Jason Blossom burn in hell.
I hate her already. Hello, Jughead. Hello, Veronica. Hello, Betty Cooper. Hello, Archie Andrews.
One summer can change everything.
Wow, that's so true.
Well, maybe it can. You would know all about it. That's Robin Hood.
Honestly, I feel like I'm wandering through the lost epilogue of our town.
I'm 7 minutes in and references left and right. Please stop. I'm too young to understand all of this.
That he's the devil incarnate?
Ah!
Blue Jasmine of Riverdale High.
Ah! Probably Betty's first kiss, but you'll know. 14-year-olds drinking alcohol.
Tonight, 7 minutes in heaven. Who wants to tryst in the closet of love first? My vote is A for Archie. It's clearly pointing to the new girl. This should be fun.
We shouldn't do this.
We definitely shouldn't do this.
No, you're 14. And that wraps up episode 1. If I would talk about every episode this way, you will be listening to me for the next 10 hours. But let's just jump into the plot of season 1. Jason Blossom, the brother of Cheryl, and he was found dead. FB, the father of Jughead, covered it up, but it was the father of Jason who murdered his own son. Because he didn't want to sell the drugs that he was making. All found out by the Core 4 and Kevin. It's a who did it mystery. The dad basically kills himself, and then the police finds out about the drugs, and that's where that ends. Polly, the sister of Betty, yeah, she was pregnant and then wanted to flirt with Jason because, well, the baby was Jason's, so he ran, but his dad killed him, of course, before he could slip away, and now she's in a mental institution, but escapes. In the end, she's alive and well, but then decides to go to the farm, not be heard ever again of, most likely not. Polly was actually like third cousin of Jason, so that's why she was in a mental institution, because it was incest. She didn't know that at the time. Well, everything has happened that I've spoken about until now. Archie gets adored by a total of 5 women this season, I'm pretty sure, but ends up going for the one and only Veronica Lodge. After Betty was crushing over Archie so much, she actually goes for Jughead because he liked riding as well. The last scene of season 1, you see Fred Andrews getting shot, and the entire series goes south and season 2 starts. Personally, I liked season 1 the first 2 times I watched it. It's kind of hard to get through it by the 5th time you're watching it. It took me 2 months to get through 13 episodes with, well, I did season 3 in 4 days, which is even 22 episodes. It's just too simple. It feels like more of a children's show than later season. That's a big problem with this season. It doesn't have the Riverdale magic of constant plot twist, but you'll understand what I mean later. This season is all about the Black Hood, and it's the continuity in the show. It keeps you watching with the entire Serpent's plot. I do not want to say the Serpent's plot is boring, but it's not really relevant anymore by season 4. Fun fact, season 4 they don't even mention it once, they just show it and pretend that it's there. But just to explain fast, Jughead, Jones' Y gang, Betty, at the time his girlfriend, doesn't like it but ends up joining because of Jughead. So they kind of hate the Ghoulies, our rival gang who deals, and so Archie ends up getting them to prison. When the season is over, there's not really a new plot for them yet, like they almost never happens. So the Black Hood is this killer, and it keeps Betty busy this season. She is trying to unmask this masked serial killer, only to find out the answer has been right in front of her this entire time. Sometimes I question myself if they had actually written who it was, because, well, it is Betty's dad, and he was the only parent that did not really have a plot except for incest. So they just thought, yeah, sure. Let's just make him the Black Hood, because he wanted to wipe the town out of sinners, and Betty inspired him to do that. Also, Veronica starts fighting with her dad, and then she doesn't want to anymore. Archie is of course her boyfriend, so he ends up working for Hiram. And in the end, Hiram wants to build a big fancy prison, but both Veronica and Archie don't like that idea, so they start helping Fred Andrews to become mayor, so he can block the ideas. But oh no! Also Hermione wants to become the mayor, and she wins. Now there will be a big fancy prison in season 3. Either way, that's really it for season 2. It's always one problem per episode, and only in episode 21 it all comes together with the serpents and the Black Hood. So let's start there, huh? Oh no, Cheryl's dead.
I suggest you run whilst you still can. I only miss when I mean to.
Robin Hood again to the rescue.
Where do you think you're going?
I think I shot Fangs.
You're not going out
Jughead
there.
is
Not when
going
people
on a
riot.
warpath.
You're angry. You want.
Guys, Reggie had a gun. He didn't shoot Fang, so I tackled him before.
Teenagers running around with guns sounds a lot like a laser tag.
Cheryl, any new leads?
Where are you right now?
I'm at the register. Why?
He's exited the forest and is headed for the houses beyond the pines.
Wait a minute, how can she follow him when she first got Betty? How at least a couple of minutes before Cheryl could run. I don't get this, but sure.
Good lord, Mom. Are you and Daddy trying to turn Riverdale into Gotham City?
I actually get that reference.
Looks like the ghoulies are back in town.
Party time! Seriously, a Molotov? No, don't get caught. Oh, yeah, you can get caught by these guys, I guess.
Your father believes an October surprise like this one would hurt me, but I'd survive.
And it would be an absolutely Oktoberfest for Alice Cooper.
Anyway,
What's wrong?
That's awkward. Oh hey mom, that man you have been married for almost 20 years? Yeah, he's a serial killer and he just threatened you. I kinda get why Betty says nothing.
the Conways. That was the family that was murdered 40 years ago?
Yes. Oh my god.
Take it out!
Alice still doesn't know what's going on, but in a couple of minutes her entire marriage is just gone.
What are you telling us? Hal,
That I have a darkness, Alice. The same darkness my father had, the same darkness his father had. And now it lives in Betty. Our daughter.
So it's a family tradition, they pass it down, generation upon generation.
Say who I am.
You're the Black Hood.
That's right.
Mission pass, find out who the Black Hood is.
Dad, why did you want all of this recorded?
I want everyone to understand when they find us.
This is starting to sound like something from a creepy YouTube video, like one of those unsolved mysteries. So I kind of didn't want to talk about this, because it's basically boring. But he's going to attack Veronica and the mother. But the actor is 6'9", which is like really tall, I'm pretty sure.
Who's him?
Thank you, Hal, for actually making an interesting plot. You will be missed, even though next season is even more addictive. And full spoilers, you'll be coming back.
I'm not the one who's lost sight, Daddy.
Please stop using the word daddy. Moral of the episode, it's basically wrapping up season 2 in a tight box. Every plot hole is gone, as far as I know. Should have been the ending of the show. Just to clear things up, I'm talking about episode 21 because they open up a lot of things in episode 22. Also, since every episode from now on is going to end with a cliffhanger, I want to show you how the actual episode ends. Oh no, Jughead got beaten up. That's a nice beat. This is like the modern day Apple commercial. So that was the Riverdale version. Now we'll be looking at the Apple version. They're the same video.
That has got to be the gayest jacket I've ever seen.
Season 3 is my favorite season. It's the most enjoyable one, and it just feels like an acid trip. I'm going to show you a little bit of season 1 because it basically sets off the plot for the season.
What does some guru who's running a Heaven's Gate commune for pregnant runaways and wives of serial killers have to say about my diaries?
Oh, that's actually a very heavy Riverdale reference. I wasn't expecting that.
Know about Betty, Mom?
Polly's looking like a hippie from the 60s. Just saying. It's almost I knew that the next scene would be a hippies anthem from the 60s. It's good vibrations from the Beach Boys. And as a real hipster, I do own it on 7-inch. Don't exactly know if this is supposed to be badass or it's very cringy.
Guys, no matter what happens in court.
Forget to tell, but Archie is going to prison. Does Archie know the one thing you don't ask in prison? Wait, I think I've got a clip of this.
In prison, you're never supposed to ask about the crime.
Basically, Archie is going to be going insanely broke this season. From prison to getting broken out of prison and becoming a boxer because that is what he used to do in prison. Jughead starts investigating a lovely game named Griffins and Gargoyles. Or Dungeons and Dragons. It's basically D&D, which I never played but still want to, and I own it, so please come on over. Also, Betty investigates this farm where her mom goes to with her sister. Yeah, the farm came back. It's basically a cult and they harvest organs, we find out later. Veronica's busy with her new restaurant, or Bob's Diner as you know it. Yeah, she owns it and is fighting with her parents. Not much changes. Now, a lot of people would say this is the worst season of Riverdale, but it's my favorite. Like I said earlier, I could talk about 4 episodes if I could, but I don't want to spend too much time in the episodes. I love the plot of D&D. It's way too crazy, but it's very enjoyable for me because it's based on a freaking board game mania. My dad is a huge collector of board games, and together we've gone and went to a couple events. And there were people in costume there, so whenever I watch season, it's like my young self believing that whenever I don't see these people at these events, they are just living in this world. So before I tell you how the season is going to end, I'm going to talk about episode 4. So things you should know about this episode. The kids are playing D&D, and a lot of parents used to play it when they were in high school. So Alice starts telling what has happened to Betty, because since her entire thing with the Black Hood and Clifford, she is an amazing detective. So when she was digging up files trying to find out about Blue Lips, she finds out a connection with her mom. And then later she starts spilling.
It was our junior year. Phones had cords, Winona had Johnny, and everything smelled like teen spirit.
So judging that reference and taking, well, today, they were in 1991 teenagers of 16. So now 30 years later, making them 46. Sounds about right. Also love the costume they gave Betty. Looks a bit like Jughead. But how do you explain this?
The world was a different place, and we were very different people.
So what were you trying to draw there, Sierra?
I tried to talk to him and he blew me off for some vixen he's screwing. Classic. F.P. Jones.
F.P. Jones?
I feel like I'm a part of this girl group, and I'm not even a girl. I enjoyed that.
Doesn't matter.
Why does he look like he belongs in a disco instead of the 90s?
Run fast enough and all they'll see is a blur.
Are you going to Naruto run?
Welcome to Saturday Detention.
Breakfast Club. But please, they ruined it. They literally have an actor from the movie. For the people who don't know what I'm talking about, Archie's mom is actually in Breakfast Club, but she's not in this episode. I like this intro. It looks better than the usual intro.
Well, at least she has class. She's not stealing child brides out of orphanages.
Girl fight! Girl fight!
The walls we'd hidden behind all our lives started breaking down, and a group of misfits became unlikely friends.
So, it's the Breakfast Club?
Griffins and Gargoyles.
I've heard of this game before.
That is the best board game I've ever seen.
I pick the sorceress. Maybe I can make all you nerds disappear.
That was a very iconic line.
Did the Gargoyle King make you do it?
I guess I'm just in the mood for a little chaos.
So, what you're saying is, she got a child and that's her entire personality? Okay, got it. And those two live right next to each other. Every day they see each other and they never think of this moment.
Wait. You and Fred Andrews?
Betty, I can confirm that was me the first time I ever watched this episode.
And we dubbed ourselves the Midnight Club.
Rockstar Games called. They want to take this episode down.
Hermione? Sierra?
Tommy?
Romeo? Juliet?
Fizzle rocks.
Hiram the drug kingpin strikes again. So you're telling me Chuck had slept in there? Well, there was a dead body there for an entire week.
After playing G&G, it was a return to reality. We went our separate ways and, burdened by our guilt, became different people. Romeo and Juliet took their curtain call.
Yep, I think about everybody got that preference for once.
I'm a level 3, and it's only a matter of time until I ascend. And I get to meet him.
Jughead is a junkie, what else can I say? So after a very enjoyable episode, I'm going to explain how the season ends. So the farm ends up loose end, but they do harvest organs. So when people start finding out they are going away, or as Kevin calls, they arise. In season 4 it already ends within 3 episodes. D&D ends up with it turning out to be Cheryl's mom, and Chick is the big dragon that runs the game. If you're asking who's Chick, it is the brother of Betty, but it's not actually the brother. It ended up being an imposter. Of course, with the 2 detectives Jughead and Betty are by now. Jughead found out just before playing a game to end the season. Archie ends up getting a gym, I guess. Also, he goes to prison because Hiram doesn't like him, and then tries to kill him in prison by printing a card for D&D. Then he escapes and gets attacked by a bear. When coming back, he finds out there's a card for him, just like in prison, that was printed for D&D. Where the quest is to kill the Red Paladin, which of course Hiram Lodge printed. So then he has to give the fancy gym to fix the mess he made with printing the card, because they have a truce for now. Veronica still hates her dad by the end of this season, and also got him to jail because in her big fancy diner she let people bet on a boxing game with Hiram fighting Archie. Yeah, no truce. The diner wasn't owned by Veronica because she traded it with her father, but her father didn't want to give the diner, so he bought the books. When Hiram went to prison, there was a surprise because apparently Hermione had also been doing bad things and also goes to prison. The last episode is Cheryl's mom having a big game with the Core 4 because they were the original children of the Midnight Club. But that's not even true, because that would have also been Cheryl and Josie, but they didn't show up or something. Anyway, the Core 4 have to do challenges and Betty shoots her dad. He doesn't die, but Penelope finishes the job. They have to do the challenges as fast as possible because one of the challenges had them drinking poison, and when they finish all of the challenges they get the antidote. So when they are free from the challenges they start running, and then Cheryl and the serpents find them and the season ends. And that wraps up season 3. But the last scene is the Core 4 except Jughead standing around a fire with having them soaked in actually blood, as a foreshadow for season 4, but the actor calls Sprouse. Why wasn't he there? Oh yeah, because he didn't want to be there because it was cold as hell. Anyway, Riverdale is kind of stupid in that regard, because the entire plot of season 4 became because, well, Jughead wasn't there. So I'm kind of curious, what did they originally have planned for season 4? So before talking about season 4, I have to say rest in peace Luke Perry, or as you know him, Archie's dad. He died, and I might know him from this awful show, but he also played in other things like Beverly Hills. He died because of a sudden stroke, so you're not going to hear much of him in the show anymore, sadly. I've only seen season 4 once, which is very weird since up to this point it was my 5th time watching. I don't like the plot of this season at all. So that's why this is my first time rewatching it in a year. The best way to explain the season is if you watch the show Elite. They took heavy inspiration from it. The like foreshadows every episode, and some of them were actually copied straight out of Elite. Also, the entire season follows Jughead while he's going to a private school, which again is where the most of the plot takes place. Betty is trying to get to know her brother Charles to find out if he's legit, because Riverdale liked the entire brother plot from earlier and so decided the actual brother showed up. In season 2 we do hear that the actual brother had died multiple times, but somehow he is alive. Veronica stays in a fight with her parents as usual. Nothing really changed there. Archie tries to be half as decent as his own father and becomes a superhero who is trying to fight crime. So I'm going to review the third episode of this season, in which the farm finally comes to an end, making it the end of the legacy of the plots of season 3.
If this is really going to be a community center, there are updates you'll have to do. At minimum, adding a second bathroom.
Oh, that sounds expensive.
We'll figure it out, Mom.
Yeah, shut up, Mom. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah? Who are you?
Sorry, I got lost. Pizza delivery. 10 cheese, 10 pepperoni.
So, is it a pizza from Pizza Hut, Domino's, or local business? Cheese is margarita, right?
You're not our guy. Get him.
What was that?
Hurry up, come on.
No, not pizza guy. He was just delivering pizzas, you psychos.
Echo, this is Charlie. Do you read me? Echo, do you read me?
Charles, is that you? Sending someone in with a wire.
Hey Edgar, you remember when you offered Betty a treatment back in season 3? Yeah, she would like to cash in on that offer. She's doing pretty bad.
We had a pretender in our midst.
Why is that pool empty?
I'm listening.
I need $250,000.
A kidney costs like $250,000 according to my research. And since you have a harvest plant for kidneys, at least you did last season, my biggest question is, why do you need $250,000? You had like 5 of them lying around.
He's a night nurse I found online. I thought he could help with Nana and the kids.
Was this guy hired from Fiverr?
Dude, there's a tie on the door. I'm just not used to this. I'm sorry.
Trust me, Jughead. Everybody learns it the hard way. Not that I would know.
What the hell is he talking about? What hostage?
Betty.
Polly.
No, stop.
May I make my joke? The bomb has been planted. The bomb has been defused.
I knew you wouldn't fail me. Oh.
So why does he look like he has been living in Florida his entire life?
I will make a difference here.
This is the part where Archie becomes the superhero.
Oh, so you're a superhero now?
Yes. Yes, he is a superhero.
Evelyn is going to drive the bus full of farmies off of a cliff as a distraction.
Okay, that's reasonable if he's gonna do something very illegal. Or do something that you shouldn't do.
While he... What? Takes off in his rocket.
Watch out, Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, and SpaceX, because he's gonna take off like GameStop did to the moon! Okay, that was a bit low.
He bought a rocket? No, he's been building one.
In all seriousness though, imagine if a cult would make like a rocket together, cheaper than any other rocket manufacturer, and then they're gonna take off without any reason. Wait, didn't a country do this? Figures.
We're gonna be tied to the front of the bus as shields.
These Cooper women are so strong that they're actually going to stop a bus while falling down. I do not even know what this is anymore.
All right, ladies, time's up. Let's go.
Why does she look like a bus driver? Oh yeah, she's driving off a cliff with a shield to Coopers while Edgar is taking off in a spacecraft. That's not a space shoot. How will you go to the fucking space?
Hands up, Edgar.
Wait, what? This isn't a spaceship. This is an aircraft. I thought he was going to conquer space, or I don't know, blow up the ISS.
Mom! Oh my God, Mom.
Well, Edgar has me game ended. Okay, after this all, we do get a new plot, so I guess I won't fall asleep this season yet. Like I just said, the best way to explain this season is boring in my opinion, but anyway, there are a lot of tapes of just houses, with showing footage of them for hours upon hours. So back at Stonewall Prep, Jughead finds out that his Mr. Chipping, or his teacher, wrote his favorite book series when he was young, and also finds out his grandpa used to go to school there. This all while Betty binge watches Mindhunter or goes to get lessons by the FBI. Not really sure. She also finds out she has the potential to become a serial killer just like her father. I do not really like to talk about Archie this season. The character only goes to fight on the streets and opens up a place that children can be, so that they are not on the street. The community center. Veronica finds out she has a secret sister and is busy with her diner. Her parents are both freed from prison, and also her sister calls Hiram Papi instead of Daddy. But please, both of the sisters listen for once. It's Dad, your father, you call them Dad, not Daddy or Papi. In episode 6, the best scene of this entire show happens. So Jughead finds out his grandpa wrote the first book of his favorite series and starts asking around, and then asks his teacher if he could help him. Then the next day he couldn't help Jughead and jumps out of a freaking window with a nosedive with no context given.
I'm sorry, Jughead, that I couldn't help you.
Later, he gets in serious beef with his classmates, and later Betty kills Jughead, I guess. But no, Jughead's alive, and his classmates did almost kill him. Also, the entire core 4 is helping to solve the murder that didn't happen. To understand this, you have to watch season 4, episode 16. It's the only thing that really happens this season, aside from Hiram getting sick, then Better and videotapes, which are snuff films that have happened between the core 4, like Betty killing Jughead. Well, Jughead is busy with that. Archie and Betty are starting to get cozy, which has Veronica and Archie break up, so by the end of the season and a little bit of season 5, we find out Betty's brother Charles has been murdering people around the videotapes, and the classmates of Jughead who almost killed Jughead. Jellybean, or the sister of Jughead, ended up making these videos to not let Jughead go to college or Stonewall Prep, because she figured, if I have a mystery, you will stay here. Then they finally graduate. Wait, no, not so fast. I wanted to show one more thing. So the last scene of the show, they basically had made a pact that they will come back every single year to a buffet Bob's at the day of graduation. So the next year you see Bob's, and slowly but surely you see Jughead sitting there alone, with no one actually showing up. This was supposed to be the ending of season 4, and it would have been pretty funny if it was, because there's also a season 5. Because in season 5, and probably also season 6, there was a time jump of 7 years. So here we start season 5. Wait, when did this become a war movie? Oh yeah, Archie joined the army. I remember. Is that a football field? Football game. I get it now. 7 years post graduation, and he hasn't aged a single day.
Riverdale, huh? Sounds nice.
I guess so. Aside from all the witch things that have been happening there, plus the witch thing all going on in Greendale, sounds like a city skyline city or something that you will hear in The Sims. Everything has changed, Archie. Get used to it. It's been 7 long years. Not for me anyway. I have bashed the father of Reggie on those glasses. And now you will do them too, thanks.
So who owns this place now?
Me and the Serpents, we all put our cash together and bought it from Hiram Lodge.
It was from Bob, right? How did it get in the hands of Hiram Lodge, and why did Hiram Lodge sell it off to Tony?
There was a set of multiple...
Still a ponytail, I see.
Stopped for no reason.
Let me guess. You're thinking we have a migrating serial killer.
Yes.
Yes, and he is named Ted Bundy.
And the last time you followed a hunch.
Yeah, the trash bag killer.
The trash bag killer? What a bad name for a serial killer. Bag killer, and maybe he is worse than I thought. That's not Jughead or Archie. Oh boy.
Glorious year of marriage.
They called me the She-Wolf of Wall Street.
Writers, do you even know what the Wolf of Wall Street even did? Or did you just not bother to watch the movie? I don't think Veronica did the exact same.
Because I went to Lacey's to surprise you, and I'm standing next to Katie right now. Hi, Katie. You, however, are nowhere to be seen.
You have any idea how embarrassing it is not even knowing where my own wife is?
Marriage problems already.
Small town to big city, my killer instinct always gets me what I want.
What kind of commercial is this for? Tinder?
I love working, that's the problem.
Not me, Veronica. I hate working. Why do you think I'm making a video on this show? It's so that I can sit on my lazy ass. I think this is going to hopefully be the most enjoyable one yet. Oh no.
I have writer's block.
So do I.
Oh no.
You got a lousy work ethic and a toxic relationship, and you drink too much.
So he's a rock star?
So did Kerouac and Hemingway and Fitzgerald.
And I didn't like The Great Gatsby, Jones. Maybe it's not the way to work.
Forsyth Pendleton Jones III.
Dear director of Riverdale, please release this book as merchandise.
It's just so
romantic.
Sexy, I was gonna say. It's a very sexy book you've written.
Definitely a rock star.
Okay, so I really am a fan of your book, honestly.
You're a fangirl of Girls Browse. I think every girl under 20 is.
Not too long ago, but this time I wasn't Thornhill's only visitor. Hiram Lodge was there with his new right-hand man, Reggie.
Wait, Reggie's working for Hiram Lodge?
Are you now going to do my job, Archie? Wait, Reggie is working for Hiram?
Archie, I heard you were back.
Hi, Pop Tate. Happy to see you again.
I missed all of you.
The gang's back together, so what now?
Riverdale's dying. And we might be the only ones who can save it.
You're going to save a dying town. Well, good luck, Archie. I'm not going to help you.
She was 21 and it was time to go. Maybe things will be different in San Francisco, she thought. Maybe I'll be happy there.
So, she's the modern-day Polly?
Unfortunately for Lynette, she'll never make it to California.
I smell new plot. So, Polly ends up missing the same way, and Betty is going to research the strange disappearance at the swamp. While that happens, the core four become teachers at Riverdale High to save Riverdale. Veronica's finally fighting with someone else than her parents. Her husband! Yeah, they're not working out. Veronica is too much an alpha female for him. Archie, well, trying to save his town, as last we have Jughead with an interesting plot about Mothman, aliens from the sky. I do not know how in the 4 seasons of Riverdale this never came up, because even Bob the chef of Bob State, and Nana Rose, who's the grandma of Cheryl, had an encounter with the Mothman. She actually had a body of one of these laying around, so Jughead gets it while babysitting the body in the diner. He gets a visit of the so-called Mothman, and poof, the body is gone. So now he's going through a trauma because he saw the Mothman. And the professional term at this point is, I guess, an encounter. In the meantime, Betty finds out that there has been more than 3 murders in the swamp, and according to Charles, more than 3 is the pattern. So she is going after another serial killer. Where are all these coming from? I'm pretty sure this is like the 4th one. The last episode ends on Jughead taking mushrooms so he can write a book, and while being on his trip he escapes the bunker, and that is where Riverdale is right now. Season 5 will probably end on an explanation episode like every season has been up to this point, which I'm looking forward to because these are some of the most enjoyable episodes for me. But then again, mostly because of the weird Mothman, it's becoming more of a sci-fi show than the show which is actually supposed to be for teenagers. From the core 4, my favorite character was easy Jughead. But then again, that isn't so weird because I'm sure everyone would say that. He's the only one that has a different plot every season and always an interesting plot. Asking me which character I like in a certain season is Penelope Blossom in season 4. She ended up being a serial killer and acts like it's nothing. Killing the Black Hoods, who couldn't be killed by anyone up to this point, but then just ended up being the pet of Penelope Blossom all along. In all my seasons long, my favorite character is Chef or Bob Tate. They for sure took direct inspiration from South Park, and I don't blame them for it. He's always a good guy and never ever has a bad day. Season 5 we do finally go a little bit deeper into him, with Riverdale even showing a flashback of him. Bad characters. Cheryl, and again Cheryl. So I'm going to talk later about why I hate her so much in the thoughts section. Riverdale's double writing is so confusing sometimes. In season 2, episode 2, Hiram tries his best to get the band back together, or his family, but he is so obsessed to keep the family in one that it's kinda weird to find out in the later season he had been having another family all along. Even in the next episode, he gets mad at her wife for trying to freak things up when he started it, but then he goes ahead and shoots at his own wife, and then later he gets even shot by his own wife. And by season 4, like said earlier, well, they start talking about the other family, and her daughter now had a fight with Veronica, which gave Veronica a new storyline because, well, they were of course weren't friends. So then later they ended up becoming friends so that they could take their dad out for a couple of years just before the time jump. So then the time jump happens, and apparently her dad is right back into business. So during these 5 seasons, Veronica still has a fight with her parents and nothing has changed. Rush writing, I guess, ended up being not as great writing. Season 2's first episode was okay written. Just like season 1, it was pretty okay and made me feel things when Fred was in the hospital after he was shot. But somehow when getting deeper into season 2, it fell apart. Now I personally blame weekly episodes bundled with an entirety of 22 episodes every season, which resulted in a lot of filling to happen. It started to feel like a typical landing one problem per episode while having a continuity in it. It's then more kind of a sitcom, what makes it possible to have this amount of episodes here. Now by season 3 they didn't like this and they wanted to make more continuity in it. So they thought, you know what, now every single problem or small plot is going to exist for 3 episodes or so. So then they started writing with continuity, but they did not have the luxury to write an entire season before the first episode. So they just made up things as they went. One of the things I believe that Riverdale represents is the American dream, and in a very weird way, the life that teenagers would like to live. Now, this sounds weird, but hear me out. So, in the way of the American dream, you can see the 3 of the core 4 go to a college, and not just a college, 2 of them go to an actually very high rated college in America, except Archie, who goes to the military, and Jughead, who goes to one of the best rider colleges according to the show. Also, Veronica's rich and by the end has married a stockbroker who works on Wall Street. While Betty has been living in the big American house right next to Archie, which his dad owns a company which is going doubtful, while Archie is playing football, and I think he's actually okay at it because he becomes the captain of the football team in his second year playing football in high school, while worrying about getting a scholarship. In his senior year he even runs 2 companies and then later becomes a war veteran. And get this, then he wants to save his own hometown. Now, Jughead's father is in a motorcycle gang, which Jughead also joins later. I guess this really can't be explained, but in later season they do move in Betty's big house and even mention that this is the American dream. And also FP becomes the sheriff. Well, Jughead is a very good rider according to everyone, and later goes to an elite high school because of the art that is his riding. After this he goes to one of the best rider colleges according to the show. They all sound a little successful in my opinion. And this all while they eat burgers every day, as far as I'm aware of. Now, I'm not from the United States of America, I mean I'm from Europe, and we love making fun of the so-called dream, but as far as I know this does resemble the American dream. I know. It makes me want to see this show as something someone will write, as a story to get over everything that is happening in their own life. Keep that thought, more on that later. Now, the perfect timeline life thing they live in somehow is, I think, explainable. I think at least. So the cars are from the 70s with a lot of other things from this time. But then again, they do have phones and all social media from the digital age. Somehow they aren't all binge watching their own show the entire time like I'm doing. Or maybe they are just doing this off camera. Now the plot is the life of something you could have imagined yourself when you were young. They almost make me want to live in the show. Now, of course, I do not want to live in a world full of serial killers, but they do make it look like they're not actually dangerous. Whenever you watch an actual documentary on a serial killer, it's more dangerous than this show will ever show you. Somehow this show makes me want to live in the show, as it makes me think of these earlier days when all you ever thought about were the mysteries in the TV shows and how you wanted to have those, and your imagination would open a whole new part of the brain you didn't know existed yet. I also want to go deep with the similarities between Gravity Falls and Riverdale, a show set in the Northwest about mysteries. Now, you could easily say that there was no connection between these two, but I think the reason why I love the show so much is because of my deep love for Gravity Falls. The reason I love that show is because it's all about mystery, which is again the same for Riverdale, like I've already said, about a young teenage life. As in season 1, but instead of a vacation, it's the whole year through in Riverdale. Also, both are having a storyline based on Dungeons and Dragons. The fact it's a small town mystery and it's far away from normal life, as they say. And the fact it's released in 2017, 1 year after Gravity Falls season 2 aired, shows me enough. And plans started back in 2015, when Gravity Falls was probably at its peak, after the biggest plot twist in the show, which Riverdale have stolen that exact plot twist in the show numerous times. Yes, numerous times. Gravity Falls is ranked as an actual really good TV show, so like how in the early 20s people were writing on the post-apocalypse teenage stories, I imagine Riverdale doing the same with becoming a TV show that was riding the success of Gravity Falls. And it was very popular on an audience who were at 12 at the time Riverdale aired probably. Now, before you say anything about the comics being released earlier, the comics were not really anything like the show. They just took a little bit of inspiration from the comics. But my biggest question is the show actually set in Vancouver area? Because in the show they have a lot of references to East Canada, but it's filmed in British Columbia, and if Google Maps is close to right, this doesn't look anything like Massachusetts, where the show is supposed to be set. They probably are filming it in Vancouver because of economics, but they do never hide the aesthetic of Vancouver while trying to keep flirting with the idea that the show is set in Massachusetts. In the very last episode, Betty said this:
relocate the Lonely Highway case upstate.
So according to this map, and if it's actually set in Massachusetts, it's set in this area. It's a very interesting topic what the showrunners are trying to do, but then again, they do not even have a realistic timeline, so what's the point of having an actual realistic place where the show could be set? Now I have to say that I absolutely hate Cheryl's character, not the actor. She plays it right the way the character is presented to her, but I just think it's a cringe character. Cheryl is supposed to be this mean character, but they make her an easy to hate character instead. The fact that every plot around her is always a problem that only impacts her makes me believe she is a filler. For the writers, she's the grass that gets pissed on by the dogs constantly. She also constantly makes everything about her, and during the entire 5 seasons there have been attempts to make an effort for plots about her, but here's the thing, nothing has actually happened. She hasn't had any character growth since season 1. Every season there's a moment where she should have this big eye-opener thing happen to her, what should make her maybe let her guard down and become a friend to the people who need a friend in the show, and not a bully named Cheryl. But not even going into a cult which is all about being equal or something, or losing her brother because of her father and then her dad committing suicide doesn't change her, because according to her she's fine and she doesn't need help. She even almost kills herself because of what her father did, but by the next episode she's back to normal. She always goes back to her toxic self, and so there's actually no reason to have her around. She's the modern day Sharpay, but 10% less, which then takes the entire idea of Sharpay away, because Cheryl isn't over the top. Side note, yes, I did watch the entire High School Musical saga, so I can make that reference. I'm legally allowed. Also, the new High School Musical series is worth a watch. It's a fun mockumentary of teenage life. It also has Olivia Rodrigo starring in it. It was all just before her entire music career ended up being a space captain. Anyway, I asked my friends both if they like Cheryl, and just before you say asking 2 people, yes, I do self-identify as a loner, if they like Cheryl is not enough. They both have watched the show recently, so I think using them as a poll is enough, and I don't know anybody else that I can ask. So, but they didn't as much agree with me as I expected. One of them said that the reason why I did not like Cheryl is because I've watched other shows with characters like Cheryl, like Sharpay, and well, the writers just didn't do a good job on that one. Well, the other one kind of hated her, but he didn't hate her with a passion like I do. From what I'm saying, you can understand that her character never moves. She never becomes something else than a mean girl, even though she has had many things that are supposed to make her different. The realization finally made me correct the formula behind the writing of Riverdale. That was let the characters start at square one. With character development every season, major things they remember, but they just don't change. Jughead is never going to be accepted. Betty is always going to be the best friend of Veronica. Archie is always going to be the guy who doesn't want to be the cool guy. Makes watching this show super easy and super hard. The 2 persons who constantly have been having a different plot every season are Betty and Jughead, and even they are just trying to solve mysteries about serial killers the entire time. Archie never knows what he wants to do, and even when he does know, like boxing or music, the next season he actually doesn't want to become that anymore because something else popped up. Veronica is always going to fight her parents. She never changes. Some minor characters do change, but that's just because they are minor characters and easy to remember for the writers. Also, another character people seem to be hating is Betty, which I do not really understand. I mean, she is in my opinion the one who has been having interesting plot lines for the 5 seasons, but people do not like her for some reason. It's most of the time has to do with the fact that she's rude according to people, or the one time she cheated on Jughead, which from that point I could see she's evil, but then again, if you look from her perspective, she does have a pretty fractal family, and well, personally has been through a lot since season 1, so when she's being evil, she's doing it to protect herself or her family. She does say to a lot of people she's going to kill them, which I believe is not true. It's like teenagers saying that to each other, but not exactly meaning it. She hasn't killed anyone during the show, I'm pretty sure. She has done things to get close to doing it, but she still hasn't done it once. So I think you should let Betty catch a break and not hate on her character. Rather, hate on Alice. She has killed people. So I've said earlier that I asked my friends something, so I'm going to tell you what I've heard over the years from Riverdale fans. So I've seen people with Riverdale merchandise. Yes, actual merchandise that they proudly wear. And well, they tell me that they're doing it because they really like season 1 and 2. They're weird fans of the rest of the show, which is what I've heard a lot. People never watch beyond season 2 or 3. They do not know what for weirdness is waiting for them. I always think of Riverdale as a stepping point. Sure, it's bad, but It knows what it is. It's a teenage show. It's trying to be interesting for teenagers. And judging by the fact people buy merchandise it and a lot of people know what it is, I think they're doing a good job at it. It's something that in the modern day, I do not know many teenage shows that have done that. Except Outer Banks maybe. Also, one of my friends made a great point, which I myself would have never come up with. Riverdale sucks all of the energy out of you. Start the day while watching an episode of Riverdale. Good job doing something else. I can't. I just lay on bed for the rest of the day watching this show. The feeling that some other shows have, like the spin-offs maybe. It's something that Breaking Bad misses. Yes, I'm now going to say something which will bring me a lot of hate. Breaking Bad is boring. I couldn't get past season 2 because I've watched Riverdale, and if a show doesn't suck half of my journey out of it, I have a hard time watching it. So there are also people who absolutely hate the show with passion, and somebody made a change.org for them, and it's pretty funny. They have 5,000 people who signed it. The creator of it actually has an entire TED talk about why you should want to cancel Riverdale. So if you have nothing to do, a link is in the description. First sentence starts off with, Riverdale is an ass show and deserves to be cancelled. He also said, Riverdale content on Twitter is taken away from good quality content like memes and dog videos. It's the funniest shit ever, so please go ahead and read it. I haven't yet talked about the references, even though I've shown many frustration with it. The reason why is I'm not American, plus I'm not a teenager. I do not get references that are for people beyond 18. I didn't get even 10% of them. And sometimes looking in the actors' faces, I have serious doubt if they even get them. If you're making a show for teenagers, please make references that have happened beyond 2000. Otherwise, teenagers are just not going to get them. Riverdale is targeted at 12 and up, which is a very influenceable audience and an audience that will be influenced by the show. Most of the people that are now 12 grew up on shows like Gravity Falls, which is why it speaks to them in the early seasons. That's why it worked. By season 5, this isn't what speaks to the audience. Having 25-year-olds isn't interesting for them, and that does explain the drop in viewership. Tell me you aren't curious about the serial killers in this show or the murder mysteries. You could think about you catching a serial killer or trying to catch a murder after watching the show. It's been the same songs for years. People are just interested in serial killers. And you're asking yourself, this is dangerous. Why? Because I admit it, I would like to live in this world. It doesn't teach me the actual best of being in a world like this. It's hard to see any character suffer really. And when they do suffer, it has never a long time effect. My problem is that this show doesn't want to show the actual horrors that the show actually is. If it was in real life. So a show about serial killers not being as rough could be what makes the next generation think that these serial killers are actually soft. They could end up writing love letters and falling in love with them, which yes, that has happened before. Riverdale is in my opinion accountable for the most recent teenage series boom, but then on demand. In the past 4 years there has been a huge boom on teenage series and movies, with mostly Netflix giving green light to all of it because teenagers will watch everything that comes their way. But they only give green light when Noah Centineo gets to play in them. Now the peak of this was 2019 in my opinion, and has been dying down since a little bit with the come of TikTok and that becoming the thing that teenagers watch in their free time. Actually, some of the core 4 have played parts in these shows or movies, mostly movies. Betty actually was a director in the movie Chemical Hearts and she also played in it. It was pretty enjoyable and had 2 awesome actors as main characters, which was a teenage romance movie in 2020. Jughead of course played in the second Cody, but he also played in the teen romance movie 5 Feet Apart in 2019, which kind of predicted the future, didn't it? Archie played in The Hate You Give in 2018 and The Last Summer in 2019. Veronica played in The Perfect Date in 2019, which as frontman has, and you will love this, Noah Centineo. I have seen all of these movies and I think Chemical Hearts was the most enjoyable one, so good job Miss Reinhardt. Also, I do want to say that Riverdale is not the only show or movie with bad writing that does succeed. It has been in Hollywood for a very long time, been a try to sell as much tickets as possible, with not actually good movies, but with big names. Now, what I'm going to say isn't very controversial, but maybe people will disagree, so sorry. But look at the Fast and Furious franchise. They are legitimately squeezing every single penny out of it, with a lot of, well, big known actors, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which does actually have good movies, but they probably have every actor who lives in Hollywood in the universe. So good writing is dying out, and the CW has been knowing this and hired the right people at the right time to make the right show. I mean, Riverdale has been relevant for at least 5 seasons up until now. There have been a total of 1 recast in this entire show. Yes, 1 in 5 seasons, and this one was for the better. I'm talking about Regimental, which was played by this guy, who went on and ended up playing in the 13 Reasons Why, which is awesome because this guy is the absolute Regimental I know. But just please take it in for 1 second that there only have been 1 recast in 5 seasons of this terrible show. Now, since all the main characters have a contract for 6 seasons and the director has 2 new big contracts, I'm pretty sure I can say that there won't be any recast anymore. It's also because I couldn't imagine a different actor in most roles. So first, my own theory. If you want to, you can read this post, but otherwise I'm going to explain it. Riverdale is like another life, an experiment for data. Who's going to watch a show filled with sectional teenage life well rated for 12-year-olds? Who's going to binge watch this show? Netflix does not own this show, but they pay very good money to have it the day after it was on TV, to have it in front of you on Netflix, at least in Europe. They get data and can create shows like Outer Banks of It, a show full of mystery, with what it feels like 4 jugheads as main characters, and a lot of plot twists, which makes it feel like Riverdale. Outer Banks took the internet by storm in the beginning of lockdown in 2020. And the second season did exactly the same, staying for at least a week already at number 1 on Netflix. Here's the Reddit post if you want to read it, so pause the video, but it's all the story of Jughead. He has been making it all along. Like I said earlier, this is what Riverdale feels like. It doesn't make sense how he became a well-known writer. I mean, he likes writing, otherwise he wouldn't make the fanfiction of his own life named Riverdale. It could be his love for Betty, but Betty will never love him back because she's the perfect girl next door, and well, in the beginning Jughead was an outcast. And his life is total drama, as you know from season 1. So he picks up his pencil and he starts writing about her and Betty becoming the great detectives he wants to be. Season 5 could be him after seeing one of his old classmates and then him picking up his pen again to go further with his fanfiction. Or he had writer's block all these years, and when he starts writing again, it's about writer's block. It could make sense, and it could be the ending. There will be no future stories, and you know how they end because it opens your door to imagination if they never show anything of the world or the universe that they actually live in. Could be an explanation why it's so weird. Actually, you might want to take notes, writers. Overall, when seeing where the character of Jughead came from, he's the hero of his own story. He gets a friend group, he gets a girl, his dad loves him, and his best friend is the captain of the football team. This does put the notes part to a full circle, because maybe Jughead has also been wanting this life all along. The life of mystery and the American dream. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Even how in the early seasons you would hear Jughead always give voiceovers. In the later seasons you hear his voice less and less when he's doing a voiceover. He's going so deep into his story that this is becoming his reality. So the reason why fans like Jughead is because he is one of us. He does what he wants to do and never face consequences. So he just does it with a pencil and a sheet of paper while all making it up in his brain. So there are 2 spin-offs who both have been cancelled, but let's start with Chilling Adventures of Sabrina or Chaos. I personally really enjoyed this show, even though it's just like Riverdale, but it's not trying to show you what high school life is like. They are in season 4 of Riverdale some Easter eggs to Chaos, also references to Riverdale in Chaos. I have left a playlist with videos including that one, but more on that later. The plot in Chaos is about witches and everything that goes with it, like hell and more. If you have seen Riverdale and want more of this weird writing, this is your chance. But it isn't as enjoyable as Riverdale on rewatches, which I did not like. Katie Keene. Now, this show has been cancelled after 1 season and I didn't watch it, but I can do some guesses. So in Riverdale, Katie Keene has been to Riverdale a couple of times to hang with Veronica, or Veronica in New York to hang out with Katie Keene. Also, Archie has fought the boyfriend of Katie Keene. So in Katie Keene, you have Josie, who was transferred shows to Katie Keene, who makes references to Riverdale, and so does the entirety of the cast of Katie Keene, probably not set in a high school, so teenagers didn't watch it. It also was on Netflix, and I in Europe couldn't watch it with Netflix. So I've left a playlist in the description with every video that I think is A, interesting and about Riverdale, or B, is a video I recommended during this video. So if you've never seen Riverdale, or if you are just interested again in watching something about Riverdale, check the description. If you want to see what Chaos or Katie Keene is like, I've left in the playlist a video of someone reviewing the first episodes, so no spoilers in it. Also, if you haven't watched the show and you are really interested but 5 seasons is a lot for you, I've left a playlist by the YouTuber Alex Myers, who has done catch-up videos of Riverdale every 3 episodes since the beginning, so you can feel a little bit what the plot is like. When you think this video spoiled everything of Riverdale, it kind of didn't, because there are so many subplots in it, or just small plots, even smaller than subplots, that I feel like I've just scratched the iceberg of Riverdale. This episode really feels still like season 1, plus I actually really enjoyed it. Core 4 goes in this episode on vacation. Beautiful scenery from Canada. Also, it has a big turning point for season 3. We have watched this episode together, but I think it's definitely worth a rewatch. This episode starts 2 of the craziest plots in Riverdale yet. Now, small side note, I am writing this without seeing the end of season 5, or maybe the end even of season 6. Again, beautiful scenery as Archie runs from Riverdale. Also, a look in Betty's mind as she goes into the Sisters of Quiet Mercy. The end of a season with a fun game made possible by Cheryl's mom. According to many people, this is the best episode. It's the memorial episode for Luke Perry. It has the Riverdale cast explaining the plot when they go into therapy. I think the writers then they knew that they were insane and incorrect the entire time, or they think they're good in writing and writing it complex as possible as the Beatles. Like I said earlier, this is almost everything in season 4 that has been explained by the showrunners themselves for 40 minutes straight. Graduation, the end of an era, or for the class of 2020, I'll look into how your life would have been if there was no quarantine and there was no virus running around. It's the beginning of a new beginning, so you could just start there if you're a millennial and not interested in Gen Z type things, like how high school was like in 2017. So, while making this, a 2-hour video released on Riverdale by Friendly Space Ninja, which will blow my video in obsolete, which would have happened even if he did not release one. He likes the following scene of the teenager at Stonewall Prep dying.
That I think stands out as one of the most hilariously random moments in Riverdale.
I'm sorry, Jughead, that we couldn't help you.
Really?
Yes, I do watch my video with subtitles, don't judge. But when this episode of Riverdale released, it was a running joke between our friends. We even had it as a GIF, and we used to send it as an inside joke to each other. So, great minds think alike. Now, I also have criticism, mostly on how it treats the writing. Yes, it's cringy. Yes, it's bad. But it's a show for teenagers. They could have made it 16 and up, but they didn't because they want to speak to 12 to 16 year olds. If you're older than 16 and do not want to watch the show, then they have other shows like you. Or there are actually more shows out there about teenage life, like Sex Education, which Friendly Space Ninja actually made a video about how much he liked it. A lot of people between 12 and 16 that have seen the show are the same people that would call Cheryl a queen, as you pointed out probably. But you're treating the show as if you just watched the High School Musical, but instead of judging it as a children's show, you're actually pretending that it's the Matrix. I do have to agree with the sexualization of characters at a young age. That's wrong. But like I discussed earlier, it's written for young teenagers. 13 on the time that children become teenagers and their hormones start getting interested in different things. So finishing thoughts, it has been probably 4 months since I rewatched the first episode. I really just thought one day that I watched the show so much I could make a really in-depth video on it. And I think I succeeded in what I wanted to do. With a script with almost 10,000 words, I think I did what I personally wanted to do. When reading over the script for the first time, I already saw mistakes or just thought I could do better. I do not expect to make more videos about TV shows anytime soon, or maybe I am. I just really like Riverdale and I've watched the show so much that I actually could write an entire script of it apparently. So in the future you might see me make other videos on things I'm really passionate about. But for now I want to say thank you for watching, if someone even got to the end. So bye and have a nice day.